Hey guys, welcome back to AZ Triumphster. So what do we got going on today? Well, Badine speed with the KZ400, and we're going to be wrapping some stuff up today. Last video you guys saw we did some work to the motor mounts. After thinking about it, the top motor mount really didn't kind of seem to fit didn't really seem to feng shui with the front and rear mounts, so we did an update to that, cutting that out, cleaning those up, mount that. That's super easy. The other thing we got going on is finishing these out. So you've got these spacers here, which are going to fit in here, right there, on both sides. So what Mike is going to do is he's going to drill these out so it's 17 millimeter for the axle, and then weld in those spacers. Obviously we're going to mount everything up, make sure it's all level so it can function correctly as a rear suspension unit. And once that's done, gosh, I think what we might do is work on the rear shocks a little bit, because it turns out these springs are extremely stiff. There's like ½ inch of preload already built into them, and so they really don't flex, they really don't compress a lot when they're on this setup. And the bike's going to end up being a lot lighter than factory. So we have an idea, and if we get into that, I'll show you. Alright, here's the new top motor mount brackets. So my job now is to clean these up. We got this nifty little plate here that's got a magnet inside, so when you turn this key, they don't go anywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and get these cleaned up and then put them on the bike and show you guys. Alright, well, while Mike is working on this, as you can see, kind of what we got going on here is that's the axle running through. Just need to be welded out here and there. He's going to tack it together and then pull it apart, finish the welds, and then I think we'll probably roll the wheel in, and once it cools off,
gotta test it out, man.
Try it all out. And then over here, we've got the new top motor mount brackets. Where's that notepad that I was using earlier? So the tank is going to come down and essentially cover that top mount, or the top part of the top mount, and so essentially that's what you'll, somewhere in that realm is what you'll be able to see, maybe about that, which is much closer resemblance to these than the original brackets. Here's where we're at with this piece. I mean, it's just smooth. We got it all welded out, as you can see. And I want to show you something that Micah made that's, I mean, extremely impressive. So with this added depth here, the factory axle wasn't going to be long enough. So I ordered a piece of stainless rod, and Micah made an axle. This piece is, well, I'll show you. Let me, yeah, we even had to buy the special drill and tap to thread it. So we made it long just in case, but we still have yet to drill it so we can run a pin through it. But let's see here. So this is a welded piece, as you can see there under the head of the axle bolt. And so Micah made that specifically. A couple of things he did. He matched the same radius as the curvature here, but down here, as you can see, perfectly. So, and then we'll move it back here. Micah, you machined the head of this axle bolt in the lathe, right?
So I did the axle itself, welded 1¼ inch on here, and then I machined it, the outside on the lathe, kept that nice rounded shape to it, and then I stuck it in the mill and cut 2 little lines in there for the 7/8 wrench.
Oh, beautiful, man. Perfect. Yeah. So yeah, all that's really left to do is to figure out just how much length we really do need, cut it a little bit shorter, drill holes in it, so we can run a cotter pin or some sort of pin through the castle nut. We're actually going to make a new castle nut fit. I think this is a 5/8, right? 5/8?
Correct.
Yeah. And so we'll just drill this out and tap it to match, because this one's pretty beat up, and it, you know, it doesn't do right by the fancy new axle. All right, what do we got going on now?
All right, so when we got the original shocks and springs, the springs were way stiffer than we wanted. So what we're doing is we have the shocks that we got all taken apart, and we were taking some Fat Bob progressive springs, like some replacement ones, and basically cutting them up, and we're going to be making a new spring, which is a little bit thinner body, so it'll match that a little bit better, as well as it's a little bit softer spring rate. So that way you're not going to be killing your kidneys riding this thing.
Right on. So far we've done a test run on this section here and heated up the coil and flattened it out a little bit. I'd say it looks pretty darn good.
Yeah.
So now we want to possibly cut this one to that length and manipulate the end, and theoretically that should be...
Yeah, so that way when we get this flattened out, it'll sit flat on the perch, because as of right now, if you set it on there, just cut, you're going to have a big-ass gap. It's going to want to go crooked on you. So we need the flattened section like the factory, so that way it sits in there straight and compresses straight.
Okay. Plus, this diameter here against the frame rail is going to look a lot better than that big white spring. So,
Side by side.
Yeah. Cool. All right. We've got both springs cut. And, well, that's the factory side, so we got that side. And disassembled both shocks. We're not going to use these anymore. Cut the bump stop down, because at the absolute best, we may be lucky to be able to pull 1 3/4 inches worth of total travel on this. So that's kind of what we're working on, is trying to get the most amount of travel with a reasonably soft setup. Mike could just clean up the threads on this one, and we're just going to reassemble the shocks and put it on the bike and test it out. And there it is. We got it off the center stand, and preload on it is, with just the motor, is minimal. You can see it's not a lot, and it all linked up beautifully. We'll do centering spacers on the top and the bottom on both shocks. Yep, trim down the bump stop like I was talking about. But the clearance here is a lot more of a comfortable distance now, instead of with these guys. And I like the narrower diameter of the springs, the consistent coil distance. Yeah, this looks great. So, only thing left to do is get Micah to sit on this bike and test it out. And then do it again. All right, just finished cleaning up, putting everything away, putting the shop back together, bringing the bikes back in. But it was a very productive day as far as that build goes. I think at this point, our next steps would be to probably start working on the rear wheel. The intention is to go with a 21-inch rear wheel, and so, but using the factory hub. So that means I'm going to require some custom spoke lengths, I believe, and I think there's a 21-inch rim laying around somewhere. If not, I can get that, and then new tire, new tube and tire. You know, get all that put together and whatnot, and that will give us a proximity idea, you know, for the rear fender. Probably in conjunction with that, look to mount up the tank at least with something a little more permanent than what we've been doing. So, because with those two components, then it's going to answer the question of what to do with the seat. But that's multiple steps in multiple days. So I think during this next week I'll look at spoke options and those types of things and getting all that in motion. So, but I hope you guys enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun for me and for Micah today. Again, very productive and successful day in regards to what we were able to get done. So yeah, thanks guys for hanging out, and you know, stay safe out there.